One loves ultimately one's desires, and not the thing desired. This excerpt is taken from the beloved book that we will be discussing today, and it is just one of the many ideologies that our author wishes to challenge, given how laid back the landscape of beliefs have come to be. So, what about you? What do you believe in? But where are my manners? I forgot to introduce myself. I am John Felix Mark Balabat, and today, with my partner Angel Hadrake, we are here to talk about the book entitled Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. But before tackling the concepts of the book, let's have Angel discuss a little background of our author, shall we?
So Nietzsche was born into a puritanical religious family. Ironically, he became one of the most influential and outspoken critics of Christianity and morality. Nietzsche is often characterized as the philosopher with a hammer due to his uncompromising critique of conventional morality, established beliefs, and societal norms. He wielded his philosophical tools like a hammer to shatter traditional values and provoke deep reflection on the nature of morality and existence. He was able to produce numerous works including Thus Spoke Zarathustra, On the Genealogy of Morals, The Antichrist, and The Will to Power. You might have come across some of his notable quotes, such as, What doesn't kill me makes me stronger, and God is dead, and we have killed him.
Now that we have finished talking about Nietzsche, let us now proceed to the prelude to a philosophy of the future. So, in Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche presents a philosophical prelude that sets the stage for its groundbreaking ideas. The title itself is a departure from traditional moral philosophy. It doesn't suggest that Nietzsche considered himself morally superior to others, but rather signals his intention to move beyond the simplistic notions of good and evil prevalent in society. So, throughout the book, Nietzsche challenges the prevailing tendency to label things, including moral principles, as either inherently good or evil. He critiques the habit of reducing complex ethical questions to binary choices, such as labeling certain groups or virtues as exclusively good and evil. Because in our world, we are aware that there are complex choices, complex situations, and binary solutions, like good and evil, are just not applicable to them all the time. Which is why Nietzsche invites readers to adopt a more nuanced perspective, one that recognizes the intricacies and subtleties of moral judgments. He encourages individuals to move beyond the rigid confines of black and white thinking and embrace the worldwide view that accommodates distinctions, variations, and multiple shades of moral gray, other than just the black and white. So this approach has sometimes led superficial readers to conclude that Nietzsche contradicts himself or that he avoids offering concrete conclusions. However, the apparent lack of straightforward answers in his work conceals a deeper purpose. Beyond Good and Evil abounds in conclusions, but these conclusions are not spoon fed to the reader. Instead, they emerge organically from a critical examination of traditional moral systems and an exploration of alternative perspectives. Nietzsche calls to shift one's viewpoint to perceive moral dilemmas in their full complexity and to resist the allure of simplistic judgments remain a key takeaway from this prelude to his philosophy of the future. In essence, he invites us to embrace intellectual and moral maturity by transcending the limitations of rigid moral categories and venturing into the realm of profound ethical reflection.
A central theme in Nietzsche's philosophy is his critique of the inherent prejudices that philosophers, both past and present, carry into their pursuit of truth. Nietzsche asserts that many philosophers mistakenly believe they are approaching the quest for truth with a clear, objective, and neutral stance. They assume that their search is free from the taint of personal biases and preconceived notions that might distort their judgment. So according to Nietzsche, karamihan daw sa mga philosophers ay naniniwala na they are totally objective and free of assumptions, biases, and prejudices when they're searching for the truth. Nietzsche's critique underscores the importance of self-awareness and introspection in philosophical inquiry. He argues that individuals often fail to recognize the subtle influence of their cultural backgrounds, personal experiences, and societal norms on their philosophical perspectives. In this regard, Nietzsche aligns with the broader philosophical tradition of postmodernism, which emphasizes the role of subjectivity in shaping our understanding of reality. In essence, Nietzsche serves as a reminder that the quest for truth isn't purely objective journey. It intricately intertwines with our personal experiences and viewpoints. Through this approach, we can delve deeper into understanding the true nature of truth.
Nietzsche, known for his relentless pursuit of intellectual honesty and clarity, strongly favored the truth over falsehood in his philosophical endeavors. This preference for the truth is a recurring theme throughout his works and underpins his broader critique of morality and values. In Nietzsche's worldview, the truth is preferable to falsehood because it aligns with the principles of intellectual integrity and authenticity. Kung sa atin nga, husay at dangal. He believed that embracing the truth, even when it challenges deeply held beliefs or societal conventions, is an essential aspect of intellectual maturity and personal growth. Nietzsche's commitment to truth extends beyond the realm of factual accuracy. It encompasses a dedication to uncovering the underlying realities of human existence, including the often uncomfortable and unsettling aspects of life. This commitment is evident in his aphorism, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger," which underscores his belief in the transformative power of facing adversity and embracing the truth of one's experiences. Nietzsche's emphasis on the truth preference serves as a foundation for his broader philosophical project. He argues that many moral and ethical systems are built on illusions or falsehoods, and he calls for their critical re-evaluation. By valuing the truth, Nietzsche encourages individuals to embark on a journey of self-discovery and an intellectual inquiry, unearthing the deeper realities that shape their beliefs and values. Because in a world where the boundaries between the truth and falsehood can often blur, Nietzsche's advocacy for the truth remains a compelling reminder of the importance of intellectual rigor and honesty. It challenges us to confront uncomfortable truths, question prevailing narratives, and seek a more profound understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
If you check the provided reading, you will see that it begins with Nietzsche asking for forgiveness. For what? For discovering these two things. That all moral philosophy hitherto has been tedious and has belonged to the soporific appliances, and that virtue in his opinion has been more injured by the tediousness of its advocates than by anything else. Before explaining why, let me discuss morality and virtue first. In Nietzsche's eyes, yung morality, a matter of preference yan. So it would be immoral if nag-impose ng isang universal morality sa bawat isa. As for virtues naman, sinasabi niya na lumalabas ito from our unconscious desires and inclinations. By looking at this, mas maiintindihan natin ang morality. He contends that philosophical discussions surrounding concepts like virtue and morality have been marred by the unappealing manner in which they have been presented, rendering them uninteresting and uninspiring. So doon sa statement niya, he is simply expressing his opinion na utilitarian and other contemporary moral philosophers are boring, and they cannot possibly pique the interest of the general public with the topic of morality.
Now, as Nietzsche continues to pursue his controversial takes, he now launches a critique of the concept of general welfare, a common theme in moral and critical discourse. He boldly asserts that those who advocate for egoism as a means to promote the general welfare are either unwilling or unable to acknowledge certain fundamental truths. Nietzsche argues that the notion of general welfare is not a concrete, graspable ideal, but rather a vague and elusive concept. What is considered fair or beneficial varies significantly from one person to another. So, what may be beneficial to me may not be beneficial to you. The attempt to impose a single framework on all individuals is, in Nietzsche's view, detrimental, especially to those he refers as higher men. This assertion underscores his belief in the distinction of rank among individuals, and consequently among moral systems. Nietzsche's critique challenges the prevailing idea that there exists a universal morality that applies to all. He suggests that the imposition of a single moral standard can stifle individuality and hinder the development of higher individuals who may operate on a different moral plane. This perspective aligns with Nietzsche's broader exploration of the tension between master morality and slave morality, which he will address in subsequent slides.
Sa first part ng reading ay diniscuss ni Nietzsche ang chapter 9 ng Beyond Good and Evil entitled What is Noble? Nietzsche's inquiry into the concept of the noble is a central theme in his philosophy. First, he discussed the origin of aristocracy kung saan malalaman natin ang sinasabi niyang distinction of rank between man and man. The second is about master of morality and slave morality na tungkol naman sa distinction of rank between morality and morality. Lastly, diniscuss niya ang life denial kung saan tinutulan niya ang will to life ni Schopenhauer. These concepts reveal stark differences in values among social classes, forming the basis for his re-evaluation of traditional morality and providing a new outlook on ethical values.
So, first, origin of aristocracy. Building on his examination of the aristocratic caste, Nietzsche delves deeper into the concept's origins and significance. He contends that acknowledging the historical emergence of aristocracy is essential to understanding the evolution of higher civilizations. Nietzsche posits that throughout history the noble caste has consistently been the precursor to advanced civilizations. He calls for an unbiased assessment of how higher cultures have come into being. Contrary to popular notions of progress, Nietzsche argues that these advanced cultures often trace their roots to the nobility, who initially appear as the barbarian caste. In this context, however, nobility is not solely defined by physical prowess or wealth, but more importantly, psychical power, the qualities of character and spirit that set this caste apart. Nietzsche challenges the oversimplified narrative that equates nobility with brute force, emphasizing that it is the aristocratic spirit and mindset that have historically fostered the growth and advancement of human societies.
Nietzsche presents a thought-provoking idea about life denial. He starts by saying that refraining from causing harm and being ethical seems like a good thing, but he takes it further, suggesting that if a society is built entirely on this idea, it can become life-denying. He goes on to say that exploitation isn't just a sign of bad society. It's a natural part of life driven by the will to power. Sinabi ni Nietzsche na ang will to power is precisely will to life as an objection sa claim ni Schopenhauer na will to life, kung saan sinabi ni Schopenhauer na self-preservation is the primary motivation of living beings. Sinabi ni Nietzsche na living things seek to discharge its strength and that life itself is will to power. Sinabi niya na ang self-preservation ay resulta lamang ng will to power. For Nietzsche, life is will to power. and will to power is exploitation. He claims that all organic processes rely on some form of exploitation of the weaker by the stronger. Halimbawa, sa ecosystem, one could argue that predator-prey relationship is an example of the will to power concept. In this case, the predator is considered the stronger because it has adopted physical characteristics and behaviors that make it efficient at capturing and consuming prey. For example, a lion is a stronger predator in a grassland ecosystem. The prey, on the other hand, is seen as the weaker due to its limited defensive capabilities against predators. In our example, a cheetah is considered weaker compared to the lion in the same ecosystem. Lions rely on hunting and consuming cheetahs for their survival. This can be seen as a form of exploitation, as the stronger predator preys on the weaker to meet its nutritional need.
And finally, Nietzsche introduces to us a fundamental dichotomy in moral and ethical systems, master morality and slave morality. This distinction serves as a cornerstone for his philosophical thought. So in master morality, values are determined by those in power, and what is considered good is aligned with the desires and preferences of the ruling class. The master type regard themselves as the arbiters of values and does not seek external validation or approval. Conversely, slave morality arises as a reaction to a master morality. It is characterized by a form of resentment towards the powerful and their values, because the goodness is defined in opposition to the value of the masters, and is often manifested as a form of moral asceticism, emphasizing traits such as humility, compassion, and meekness. Nietzsche's exploration of these two moral frameworks sets the stage for a deeper analysis of their implications, the origins of morality, and how they have shaped human societies and cultures throughout history.
Nietzsche further elaborates on the concept of master morality. In this moral framework, things and deeds are deemed good based on the approval or desires of those in power, often an aristocratic ruling class. It emphasizes the individual's ability to determine values autonomously without seeking external validation or approval. The noble type sees themselves as the creators of values, and they evaluate actions and attributes based on their own standards of goodness. Itinuturing ng nobleman ang kanyang sarili bilang determiner of values. He does not require to be approved of. He passes the judgment. Siya ay isang creator of values, kaya naman, ang bagay na kanyang ginagawa ay masasabi lamang na good kung ang mga ito ay approved at desired niya, ng master. On the other hand, the things the master view as bad are the things, deeds, and people that are lacking in some qualities he desires. For instance, ang view ng master sa wealth and comfort ay good. Maaaring i-consider niya as bad ang poverty and discomfort. Another example is ang pag-consider ng master sa power, honor, at nobility as virtues, kaya naman, maaari rin niyang i-consider as bad ang mga bagay, gawain at tao na hindi nagtatangi ng mga nabanggit.
In contrast to master morality, Nietzsche introduces the concept of slave morality, which emerges as a response, as mentioned earlier, to the values and dominance of the master class. Slave morality is characterized by a sense of resentment towards the powerful and their values. In this framework, goodness is defined in opposition to the values of the master. So those adhering to slave morality often exhibit traits such as humility, compassion, and meekness as virtues. This moral outlook is rooted in a desire to undermine the authority and values of the master class, portraying their own moral code as virtuous and superior. Slave morality challenges the traditional sources of power and authority and seeks to redefine what is considered good and virtuous. Nietzsche's exploration of slave morality raises questions about the role of power dynamics in shaping moral systems and the ways in which individuals and groups may use moral values to assert themselves in the face of oppression or marginalization.
One of Nietzsche's most famous and controversial assertions is encapsulated in the statement, God is dead. This proclamation signifies Nietzsche's critique of Christianity and its impact on Western culture and morality. Para sa kanya, the decline of religious belief, particularly in the Christian God, represents a significant shift in human consciousness. He believes that traditional religious values, which shaped moral systems for centuries, have lost their influence in the modern world. With the advent of secularism and science, the authority of religious institutions and their moral frameworks has diminished. Nietzsche's claim that God is dead sparks deep philosophical debates about where morality comes from in a secular world and the necessity for fresh ethical principles.
Moving on to the next slide, Nietzsche now introduces the concept of transvaluing values. He suggests that individuals who reject traditional moral systems and their associated values embark on a process of re-evaluating and redefining these values to suit their own needs and desires. Nietzsche contends that such individuals see themselves as the arbiters of values, effectively becoming the sense, the salt, the standard, and measure of all things, as you can see in the slide. This concept underscores Nietzsche's belief that morality is not fixed, but can be shaped and molded by those who challenge prevailing norms. It raises questions about the subjectivity of moral judgments and the extent to which individuals can influence and shape the moral landscape to align with their own interests and perspectives. Nietzsche's idea of transvaluing values challenges conventional notions of objectivity and highlights the agency of individuals in shaping their own ethical frameworks.
Nietzsche explores the historical context in which certain moral systems, particularly Christian and Jewish morality, developed. He argues that during the days of the Roman Empire, Christians and Jews were oppressed and lacked worldly material power. Dahil nga imposible na mag-succeed sila in taking worldly or earthly material power, to cope, they instead made a virtue out of their lack of power. Ayon kay Nietzsche, nainggit daw yung mga Christians sa Roman power, kaya they want that kind of power for themselves. At hindi nila magawa, so they decided na ibang uri na lang na power ang kukunin nila. Yun ay ang spiritual form of power. Ang naging mantra ng Christians noon ay what really matters is not this world, but the world beyond the afterlife. Sabi ni Nietzsche, the powerless in society cope their lack of power by convincing themselves that earthly power is of little value. Yung mga Christian values like humility, modesty, and devotion to the spiritual world ay tinuturing na supreme goods with a distinct distrust of material and earthly power. Those lacking power in their present lives believe that they would find power in another life. Nietzsche takes issue with the Christian instinct to perceive this state of weakness or mediocrity as a goal worth pursuing. This perspective highlights how historical and societal contexts can shape the development of moral systems. Nietzsche's analysis challenges us to consider the motivations behind moral beliefs and to recognize the influence of historical circumstances on the evolution of morality.
However, to continue having your beliefs and values proliferate and exist in this world, you must remove the barriers that do not believe so. Which is why in the next slide, Nietzsche introduces the idea of the spiritual war. He suggests that those who adhere to certain moral codes engage in a form of warfare against opposing values. This warfare is not physical, but rather a battle of ideas and beliefs. So the term moral castration, as seen in the slide, implies that the adherents of these certain moral systems may seek to neutralize and undermine the values and virtues of those who hold different beliefs. This can involve strategies such as criticism, condemnation, and the portrayal of opposing values as detrimental. However, Nietzsche's concept of moral castration raises questions about the tactics used to promote and defend moral systems. Are you defending, or are you actually attacking and trying to lunge on different other values and traditions? It is also a prompt reflection on the consequences of such moral conflicts within our society today.
Nietzsche actually used the word recipe to enumerate how Christian morality is established, leading to a spiritual war. First, virtue makes it the main feature of one's ideal. Kaya the older ideal is denied and declared to be the reverse of all ideals. Initially, one identifies a particular virtue or set of virtues that they consider appropriate and virtuous. In this, a specific virtue takes center stage in their moral beliefs. The older moral belief ideals are discredited and portrayed as opposite to what is considered virtuous. To achieve this, negative tactics like slander and defamation might be used to question the credibility of these older beliefs. Second, one's own type is set up as a general standard, and this is projected into all things, behind all things, and behind the destiny of all things as God. This involves projecting one's own moral type onto a broader universal scale. This means that individuals' particular moral perspective is extended to encompass all aspects of life, becoming a guiding principle behind all things and even the destiny of all things. In essence, this personalized moral perspective is elevated to the status of God, serving as the ultimate source of moral authority. Third, the opponents of one's ideal are declared to be the opponents of God. One arrogates to oneself a right to great pathos, to power, and right to curse and to bless. This simply says na opposing a person's Christian virtues or values means you oppose God and is an enemy of God. Kaya this gives the opposed person the power, as stated here, the curse and to bless.
Next, still on the astuteness of moral castration, the triumph of anti-naturalism. Nietzsche suggests that adherents of certain moral systems view nature as the opposite of their ideals. Nature is seen as a realm of suffering and imperfection, while their moral code represents the realm of pure, good, sinless, and blessed. This perspective highlights the rejection of natural inclinations and the idealization of a moral order that transcends the natural world. It raises questions about the tension between human instincts and moral values, as well as the consequences of such anti naturalistic beliefs. Nietzsche's critique prompts us to consider the implications of viewing nature as contrary moral ideals and the impact of such beliefs on our understanding of the human condition.
In the end, for Nietzsche, to make oneself abstract means to turn one's back on the world. This concept suggests a turning away from the concrete realities of the world and a detachment from worldly concerns. Para sa kanya, this abstraction may be a form of escapism, where individuals disengage from the complexities of life and immerse themselves in abstract ideals or spiritual pursuits. Nietzsche's exploration of making oneself abstract prompts us to reflect about the conflict between our everyday life experiences and our aspirations for higher ideals. That's why for us to not give up on life entirely, we need something to aim for. And Nietzsche encourages us to aim for greater things in life. As we navigate this intricate balance, let us remember Nietzsche's wisdom encouraging us to aim for greater heights and find purpose in our existence. May our journeys be filled with purpose, understanding, and continuous growth. Thank you for exploring these profound ideas with us. Farewell, and may your future explorations be enlightening and fulfilling.